Oh boy, that's a lot of join sounds. Hopefully everything's set up right. Everything looks fine on my end, but I've been stuck loading the Hangout world for a hot minute. So while we load and all that jazz, welcome to here. I don't think this is going to be an insanely long podcast, and I don't think I'm going to have any of the other staff join me either. So it shouldn't be too crazy. Well, I'm broken in this world. Oh no. We can go down to the very bottom. So nothing too crazy to talk about. There is a little bit though. Wow. I think this works out. Hell yeah. Lighting looks good. Got a fucking beautiful audience. Hell yeah. Well, welcome to here. I don't know what episode of the podcast we're on. I honestly stopped counting a long time ago. So we're on episode something. Beats me, man. It's always a blast, always a fucking time. But welcome to the Hapu Foundation Poicast. As for today's episode, let's see. What do we have to talk about? We're going to talk about the police a little bit. We're going to talk about... oh, wait, that is the right channel. Whoa. But yeah, we're going to talk about the police a little bit. We're going to talk about the Abyssal Order Discord a little bit. But we're not going to go into stats or anything like that. I'm not signed into any of it. Otherwise, I would. But if you're curious, you can check out all the world stats on VRChat's website. If you just look up the worlds, the names. And then if you want to look at the Discord stats, it's all public on StatBot too, for anybody who's interested in stats. While saying that, though, let's talk about some random minor changes, and we'll just jump into everything. So I updated, this is for all of the communities, I updated the role formatting. So there's a section, how do I explain? So the roles on the right side of the screen when you're on Discord, they have little prefaces, or at least ours do. So I set one up for leadership, staff, and members, so they're differently prefaced so you can tell them apart easily. I did that across all the communities. I added a couple hundred stickers and emotes. I can't remember how much I touched on that, but I added them across all of the Discords. I removed the invite link and a lot of documentation for Hapu Foundation East. That's mainly because Chill Out VR do be kind of dead. Let's see what else. I updated the role names. So the role Hapu is now Hapu Hatchling, and Initiate is now Hapu instead of, well, Initiate. Just some minor changes. I guess I don't know how minor that is thinking about it, but it's pretty cool in my opinion. I like the change because it kind of brings in an older idea for Hapus, and both ideas work. Both formats of how Hapus become Hapus, all that jazz. So I thought it was a cool change to make. What else? I updated the veteran role. So all the roles below veteran had updated role images. So now all the pictures, I think, will probably stabilize and maybe stay as they are. I really like the role images for everything below veteran. I think it all makes a lot of sense and looks nice. What else do we got on this list? So the automated promotion system, Poimotion system, whatever you want to call it, it works on paper, and it works for the most part, but it's not perfect. So for now, I've turned it off and disabled it, so there's not going to be any promotions unless it's done by a wave for a little while. I need to either rework this system or come up with something better, because it's failing in a couple of areas, and those aren't big areas, but I don't like that it's failing in said areas. What else? So many of you probably have only briefly seen the graveyard area, but the graveyard rules were updated to the new rules and all that jazz. Same with the information channels. They were updated, but only briefly. I spent a second and just reformatted them. So the information channels have some minor changes. What else? Let's see. So I fixed the global thread permissions. That was fucked, and revoked a bunch of role perms on a bunch of different roles that shouldn't have had certain perms and all that jazz. What else? I changed the veteran role color. I just straight up couldn't tell it apart from a couple other of the roles, so I changed that to I think it's a lighter silver or something. I added a music bot. This is something I was super against for a really long time, but then I was like, you know what? None of my reasons against it are very valid anymore. So, yeah, the music bot, that's the thing. It's pretty good. I still need to fix some of the permissions for it, but it works pretty well, and it seems like a lot of the Hapus have liked it, so that's been a cool addition. Recently, we did a fucking huge promotion wave. I went through by hand and checked a couple hundred people who were in the criteria and all that jazz, and big ass promotion wave, huge, in case anyone somehow missed that. What else? Oh yeah, Squire Tryouts. That's another thing that's happening. Damn, I feel like I'm speedrunning this podcast. I'm not intentionally speedrunning this podcast. Just the things that I have to talk about, there's not much else information-wise about them except what I'm already saying. But, yeah. So, Squire Tryouts. We're going to do them on Tuesday, November 23rd, and Thursday, November 25th. There's going to be 2 sessions, one at the usual time of those who find, so that raid slot, and one for those who hunt, that raid slot too. Depending on how many of you sign up, we may have additional sessions on following days. But, we're also looking to having additional sessions for those who can't make these scheduled times. So if you're interested but not available at the listed times, just sign up anyway. So fucking Squire Tryouts are fun, man. They're cool. I need to fucking be one of the dumbass randoms, one of the NPCs. That would be dope. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. If you're interested in helping out in the staff, Squire Tryouts are a great way to help with our in-game moderation, help with the Guardians, help with the raids. But yeah. So something that's actually a bit longer of a topic are the Rule and Tos updates. So I'm sure I've covered all of this already. I wouldn't be surprised. But, so the rules have been updated. A couple different people in the community worked on them as they were a fork of a fork of a fork of a fork. We just kept building on to the rules. So there have been so many different people who've worked on that. But, dang, I keep almost burping. Excuse me. But yeah, a lot of people have worked on it, but the most recent version, I did the formatting and changed a lot of random shit. But I can't tell you how many people have ultimately worked on it. It's a cool fucking rule book, man. So it's been split into 2 things. We have the rules, which is a shortened version of the TOS, if that makes sense. The rules are the main community rules, while the TOS are, well, exactly what it sounds like, terms of service. It's just extended rules, more ass covering. But yeah, so those were both updated to a pretty extreme degree. And I think both are pretty well done. I'm actually really happy with both. We initially implemented them in the in progress communities and a separate community, but I'm happy with the rules, man. I think they're pretty solid, pretty good, and hopefully they work out for everybody. And hell yeah. So I was gonna talk about some quest related stuff, but I must have forgotten to write that down. So when it comes to Quest, we have been doing more raids for Quest. We have been doing more activity in general. MX is working on the world, and then there have been a lot more Hapus interested in doing Quest raids, so they've been getting a lot bigger. And that's pretty cool, man. Quest is probably the bigger aspect of the VRC community now. So being able to support Quest in a higher capacity is pretty awesome to me. And I'm pretty happy that we've been able to do that, man. That's pretty cool. So, there's always going to be more coming from Quest. And in the near future, hopefully a lot more than what we're doing now. Same thing with all of the branches, man. Whether it's the Guardians or the Watchers or Squires, whoever. There's a lot of cool things I'm excited to see in the future. whether it's like, for instance, updating the handbooks or just making material better, so in the end everybody else's experience is better too, you know. Anyway, I'm ranting. So there's some stuff to be had with Quest, but nothing too talkative, nothing too much to get into. So for the police, there's a little bit more than not. Oh my god, there's a decent amount to talk about. So we'll do that in just a second. Let's get some water. But yeah, if you guys have any subjects you want me to talk about, whether it's on topic or not, post them in the suggestions channel. Water. My good friend water. So, next topic. Let's talk about the police a little bit. So, Intro to the Abyss. We'll talk about that channel and what it does, because I've talked about it a lot in the past. So that channel, you could think of it kind of like a giant fucking book. Kind of. So, Intro to the Abyss is supposed to document pretty much everything. Like, if it needs to be documented or if it's relating to our community, then it would be documented in there. So I can give examples now that a lot of it's public. Let's pull it up real quick. There's a couple versions here. Oh no. So I'll give an example of Intro to the Abyss. So it describes, how different things work, or, different systems of the communities. So I'll give an example of like the section, The Abyss. It goes into detail explaining, well, not detail, not yet, but it goes into an explanation about the different communities, sub-communities, like the subgroups, all that jazz. So general information about the communities or projects, subgroups, basically anything relating to us, anything officially relating to us that you would think would need to be documented, like staff, whether it's expectations or guidelines or who's in this staff, just general documentation. And that's what Intro to the Abyss really is for what I would call structuring, for having that structure. It lays out, all the roles, who's in the roles, so like who's a watcher, who's a guardian. It lays out basic information about all of these roles or all of these systems. And I'm still actively working on it, so it's not finished. But if you're interested in looking at this, I have a couple in development versions in the Abyss channel for the Abyssal Police Department, or Division. It's going to take me a minute to get used to that name change. But yeah, so that's been a big project of mine. I've been working on it off and on for a long time. And once it's in a more finished state, I'll bring it over here for vote to be implemented, but I want it to be more finished before we do that. But it does a decent job documenting a lot of stuff right now, but in its finished form, it'll probably be 4 or 5 times, hell, probably even a lot more than that, of what it currently is. Because I want it to be a document of everything, an explanation of everything. I want it to be a giant Wikipedia about us. So that's the idea there, and it is being worked on slowly every day. So there's a little explanation of that. Go check it out. It's kind of cool. So police mandates are the next thing on the list. Police mandates are a little bit rough. So they're in a technically finished state, finished with an asterisk. Of course they're not done, they're still in development. But there's a version out right now that is good enough to be used to make the training process and actually get things going. So that's being worked on by Estlo, among others. And hopefully we get that done soon, because at that point we can essentially have officers out and about. Now, I need to finish working on the updated officer model, but for now, I'll just get the updated colors out, like the re-scheming, so we can get that done, assuming training and all that gets sorted too. Because I've been wanting to get this done forever, man. I've been wanting Hapu Police out for a long time, and all that's left now is training. And I think that's about it, really, because world stuff is slowly in progress, and then there's a lot to be done with the police, but that one aspect, the main core element for functionality is there. Now we just have to build on it. So I wanted to get it done within the week, but ultimately, it's up to people that aren't me. So I can't say, oh, this will be done in a week, this will be done then. It's up to them, up to when they can do it. So same thing with everything else, man. Stuff takes time. And some things may be taking a lot longer than not, but I'm pretty happy with everything that's coming out. Whether it's something that's been in development for a long time, like the police mandates or Intro to the Abyss, or something newer. But anyway, there's a couple other things on this little board to talk about, but we'll just briefly cover them. So officer training we talked about a little bit, but that's being done by Estlo primarily, and I'm writing a little bit myself because trying to figure out how to do officer training is really rough, really hard, because we're working on something that's never been done before, and we don't have really anything to base our roleplay in, at least in the traditional sense, for how we want to do things and how we want it to be handled. So you can't really use a lot of real references, even if you wanted to. So it's a slow process and we're getting it going. But I really do want to get officers out and about. I think there's enough material there to be used for individuals to roleplay with. So hopefully we can see that soon. Updated officer models are also on the list. So the plan for the officer models is essentially what we have right now, but updated color schemes. So the outfit will be different colors depending on the role. So that's the thing that's happening. And then for communication, we're only going to let the leaders, so the first and second command, speak. So we're going to have Steve toggles that'll have the Visemes instead of the Hapus. That's something that I've been trying to find a creator to actually make those for me. So if any of the creators watching the stream want to do that, it's pretty simple, just a Steve toggle. But yeah, so that's something that'll happen pretty quick. I'm trying to think what else needs to be covered. I know this is a short podcast either way, but I really didn't have all that much in detail to discuss. Just about everything that I do have is still in development, and for the past couple of weeks I haven't been the most too insanely active in development. I've been working on a few things, but things have been slow. I've been kind of just hanging out. While saying that though, I do be wondering, we've been talking about the police world, and there's a couple different ideas for it right now. So that's still in progress, but sheesh, I don't know how we're going to do a fucking police world, man. That's going to be crazy. That's going to be so fucking whack. Anyway, I think that's about it, really, when it comes to pre-planned topics to discuss. There's always more and more and more, of course, that I could pile on. And I know this has been a pretty short podcast, but really, it would just be useless information that has no real point to bring up. Things that are still not fully set in stone, developments that are still not figured out. So it would be kind of unfair and, well, stupid to bring up. So while saying that, I was going to host a little hangout after the podcast. I don't know, I kind of felt social, maybe. I don't know. So whenever we do decide to end this show, I'm going to host a public instance of the world that we're currently in, and, we'll hang out, drink, maybe watch something. I don't know. It'll be fun, man. We'll do something crazy. But as for other topics, I think that's really about it off the top of my head for Foundation, for Quest, for the Abyssal communities. I guess one last topic is we're always looking for more staff, whether it's squires, like we mentioned the Squire Tryouts, or for moderation, whether that's Discord or in-game. Either one, we're always looking for more people. So if you're interested in joining the staff, hey, hit one of us up, man. Whether it's me or someone else from the council, do it. It's pretty straightforward, man. It's all voluntary, of course. Not very much you gotta do. Just For moderation, for watchers, they watch, man. They stare. That's the only explanation new members of staff should get. Watchers, what do they do? Your response. Anyway. My headset's died. That's unfortunate. Well, I think we can end this podcast. I know it's been really, really, really short, but I really don't want to just go on and on endlessly about this or that. Oh, I've been pinged. Thank you for the ping. You missed the beginning. 2BH, it's doable but difficult. Needs mostly writing out. Yeah. That's true. There is a little bit more to be done. A lot more to be done. But hey, so here's the plan. I'm going to host a hangout, and we're going to do some hangout bullshit. So join off of Blaze Creek if you want to just fucking vibe with the Hapus. But I'm going to end this podcast. I know it's been really short, really early, but I didn't really have that much to talk about. We've just been kind of chilling, doing a little bit of development, but nothing too crazy, you know? If you're ever interested in the exact changes for any of the communities, I normally write down, for the most part, the changes in the changelog channels. I'm not the most consistent, but most changes I do write down. So while saying that, I think it's a good note to end this. So, hey, thanks for watching. I had fun, and hopefully you guys had fun watching, and hopefully I could have been informational in some respect. While saying that, though, come join me and hang out. Let's drink. Hell, I'll do a shot right now. To fucking party. Hapu party. Oh. Gross. Anyway. Bye-bye, Poyos. I'll see you at the fucking hangout. Let's do